Rita Walsh smoothed down her borrowed dress one more time. It didn't fit quite right. The hemline was too short, the shoulders too tight. But it was the nicest thing she owned, even if she'd borrowed it from her friend. She stood outside the French restaurant, watching well-dressed couples walk through the gleaming doors. This wasn't her world. Her phone buzzed. Another text from Diane. "I'm so sorry, Rita. This migraine is killing me. Please just go in my place. Tell him I had an emergency. Just have one drink so he's not sitting there alone. I'll explain everything tomorrow." Rita sighed. Diane was her oldest friend, the only person from high school she still talked to. They'd taken very different paths. Diane had married well, divorced better, and now spent her time on dating apps meeting successful men. Rita had spent the last 30 years raising other people's children. She loved her work. She loved the twins she cared for now, loved watching them grow and learn. But at 58, living in a small studio apartment, taking the bus everywhere, she sometimes wondered what her life might have looked like if she'd made different choices. "One drink," she whispered to herself. "Then you can go home." Inside, the hostess looked her up and down with barely concealed judgment. Rita gave Diane's name. The woman's expression changed immediately. "Right this way. Mr. Patterson is already here." Rita followed her through the restaurant, past tables with white linens and crystal glasses. Her heart pounded. This was a mistake. She should leave, make up an excuse. Then she saw him. He sat alone at a corner table reading something on his phone. Silver hair, neatly trimmed, sharp suit, but his tie was slightly loosened. He looked about 60, maybe a bit older. There was something gentle in his face, even as he frowned at whatever he was reading. He looked up as she approached. Their eyes met. Rita saw his expression shift. Surprise, maybe? Or disappointment. She knew what. He was thinking. This wasn't the woman from the photos Diane had sent. "Mr. Patterson," she began, her voice shaky. "I'm Rita. I'm afraid there's been a change of plans." He stood immediately, old-fashioned manners taking over. "Please, sit down." She perched on the edge of her chair, clutching her worn purse. "My friend Diane, she was supposed to meet you tonight, but she's not feeling well. She asked me to come and explain. I'm sorry you had to wait." He studied her face for a long moment. "So you're not interested in a blind date with a stranger?" "Oh no, I'm not here for that. I'm just here to apologize on her behalf." Something shifted in his expression. He smiled, and it transformed his whole face. "Well then, since we're both here, would you like to have dinner anyway? No pressure, no expectations. Just two people sharing a meal." Rita hesitated. She should leave. This wasn't her life. But something in his eyes made her pause. He looked lonely. She understood lonely. "All right," she said softly. "Just dinner." His name was William. He told her to call him Bill. He owned a medical supply company, something he'd built from nothing over 40 years. His wife had passed away 5 years ago. His daughter lived in Seattle with her family. He saw them twice a year if he was lucky. "She keeps telling me to get out more," he said, studying the menu. "Says I work too much. So I let my assistant talk me into this dating app thing." He shook his head. "I'm too old for this nonsense." Rita laughed. It felt good. "I think we're all too old for this nonsense." "What do you do, Rita?" "I'm a nanny," she said simply. She'd learned long ago not to apologize for it. "I take care of 2 5-year-old twins. Have been for 3 years now." She waited for the usual reaction. The polite smile. The subject change. Instead, Bill leaned forward. "That must be incredible work. What are they like?" And just like that, she was telling him about Sophie's love of books and Max's obsession with dinosaurs, about the way they held her hand when they were scared, about teaching them to tie their shoes and sound out words. Bill listened like every word mattered. "My daughter was raised by a nanny," he said quietly. "Maria. She was with us from when Emma was 2 until she was 12. When my wife got sick, Maria stayed late every night, helped with homework, made sure Emma felt safe." His eyes grew distant. "I paid Maria well, but I never really thanked her. Never told her how much she mattered. I was always at work, building the company. I thought providing financially was enough." He looked at Rita directly. It wasn't. And I didn't realize it until it was too late. Maria retired and moved back to her family in Colombia. I tried to find her a few years ago to tell her thank you, but she'd passed away. Rita felt tears sting her eyes. She'd spent her whole life being invisible to the family she worked for, appreciated but never truly seen. I'm sure she knew, Rita said gently. We don't do this work for recognition. We do it because we love the children. Still, Bill said, you should be told. What you do matters. You're shaping lives. That's more important than anything I've ever done. The waiter came. Bill ordered wine. Rita tried to order the cheapest thing on the menu, but Bill insisted she get whatever she wanted. This isn't your blind date, remember? He said with a smile. This is just dinner between two people. And I'd like you to actually enjoy it. So she did. She ordered the salmon she'd been eyeing, she drank good wine, she talked about her life without shame or apology. Bill told her about his late wife Grace, how they'd met in college, how she'd believed in him when he had nothing but ideas and determination. I miss her every day, he said, but I'm learning that missing her doesn't mean my life is over. It just took me a long time to understand that. Rita told him about the marriage that never happened, the man who'd left when he found out she couldn't have children. How she'd thought her life was over at 32. But then I found my calling, she said. I got to raise dozens of children. Got to be there for first steps and first words. Maybe they weren't mine by birth, but they were mine in the ways that mattered. That's beautiful, Bill said softly. 3 hours passed like minutes. The restaurant began to empty. The waiter brought the check without being asked. Outside, the night air was cool. Rita pulled her thin cardigan closer. Let me drive you home, Bill said. Oh no, the bus is fine. Rita, he said gently, please let me drive you home. In his car, she gave him her address. She saw him take in the neighborhood. Not dangerous, but not nice either. He pulled up in front of her building. I had a wonderful evening, he said. Me too, Rita admitted. Thank you for being so kind. Would you like to do this again? He asked. No pretense. No blind date setup. Just dinner with someone whose company I enjoyed. Rita looked at this distinguished man in his expensive car, looking at her like she mattered. I don't think we're from the same world, she said honestly. Maybe that's exactly why we should, he replied. She thought about it, about all the years she'd made herself small, about all the times she'd decided she wasn't good enough for things. All right, she said, smiling. I'd like that. 2 weeks later, Diane called, apologetic about the blind date she'd missed. How did it go with Bill, she asked. Did he seem disappointed? Rita looked at the flowers on her kitchen table. Bill had sent them yesterday, just because. No, she said. I don't think he was disappointed at all. Some of the best things in life happen when plans go wrong, when we end up in places we never expected to be, when we let ourselves be seen, really seen by someone who knows how to look. Rita had spent her whole life taking care of others. Maybe it was time someone took care of her too. If this story warmed your heart, please like, share, and subscribe. Comment below about a time when something unexpected turned out to be exactly what you needed. Sometimes the wrong plans lead us to the right people.